Okay. Is it visible? I think it should work. Ah, help. Okay, here we go. Oops, sis. Hmm. Here. Is it working? Let's see if it's working here. Yeah, it's working.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we
Yeah,
got
we're
it.
here.
Yay!
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, let's hope I can see you the whole time as well. It doesn't freeze.
Oh, yes. The last time my screen started to freeze, so this was
Yeah.
not exactly funny.
Oh, am I too close? I'll move back again. That's better.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yes, you too. Yes.
How are things? What about the
Oh,
tsunami?
all right. Yeah, haven't heard any more about it. So I'm assuming no news is good news. But yeah, I'm not anywhere near the coast here, so it won't directly impact. But it's still, yeah, still a bit scary.
Mm. I can imagine.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. It's what happens here in
Mm,
Oz. We used to everything.
mm,
So
mm.
it is
Oh,
there. There's always something. Always something.
mm. Oh my. Oh my. Yeah, it's been some time now. How are things in regards of our last chat here online?
It feels like the chat, or yeah, I guess the discussion, like what we were tuning into, what we were um coming into our understanding about, perhaps has helped clear a lot of energies, I feel.
Mm,
Which is really good. That's what immediately comes to mind. Like I can't really recall anything else. So
mm.
yeah, which is fine. So I guess that's the main thing. So that's good. That's what we want. We want
Yeah,
the yeah we want to
exactly.
yeah keep clearing the way to move forward. So
Mm.
through through discussions and understanding and expanding our horizons, yeah, that's the way we're going to do it. So yeah,
Mm.
why we're here is coming into yeah it's getting I guess getting clarification that we're doing the right thing. Yeah,
Mm.
like why we're here doing this. Like we were called, we felt that we were called to do it. And
Mm.
for me it's like immediate kind of clarification that yeah, you're doing absolutely the right thing.
Mm. Yeah, and it's interesting. I think a lot of shifts have been happening and a lot of
Yeah,
energy going. It's I think it's a good sign that there's a lot of energy and movement in those
yeah,
regards.
definitely.
It's kind of interesting that
Yeah, so we'll see what happens after today's session.
yeah. And I'm curious how long my screen is moving. The last time it
Yeah, so mine likes to fade, so just so we need to occasionally tap it. But yeah, so far so good.
yeah. So this is interesting. Yeah. So what kind of topics are we going to take care of today? I
Okay.
thought about karmic, the
Yeah, I
karmic.
think if we start off with that.
Mhm.
If you want to talk a bit about your experience, and
Mm.
if you're happy to do that, and then we'll just see where the conversation flows. I think
Mhm.
what needs to come out will come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Mm.
still quite early here, so I'm still waking up a little bit. So maybe you need to you need to start off. So you're a
Yeah.
bit more awake. Yeah.
I decided to stay with water today and not use coffee as always. Otherwise, I
Oh,
think
okay,
I'll
yeah.
be like up until like 4 a.m. or something, like the last
Oh
time.
no.
So that was
Yeah,
a
you're
little.
probably all buzzing, all the excitement.
It's like. um, yeah. So karmic connections is something very interesting, and I do think that all twin flames are going through karmic experiences. Those karmic experiences can look like a person, or they can be a situation, for example, or even I think illness, for example, can also be a part of a karmic contract, I think. Or at least this is what I came to understand so far. And this is quite interesting because this I haven't thought about, like, for example, being yeah, a disease or something, or some kind of illness, that this could also be some kind of a karmic contract in that sense. But yeah, what I have found out is that just those karmic experiences, they are triggering awakening. This has happened in my case. For example, in my case, it was the karmic contract was in the form of life partner in that sense. And yeah, and this included narcissistic abuse. In my case, it was not physical abuse, luckily. So this was, yeah, I'm very grateful that I was spared this experience, because that's something that, yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, in my case, it was emotional abuse, and I think this trigger warning is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We should put on a trigger warning, I think, if we delve deeper into that kind of thing.
No, I think the people that would tune into us are fine. They're quite tough. We don't need to.
Yeah. But yeah, but just in case it is, we are going to talk about narcissistic abuse.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and this it is a very strong topic, and it can trigger some people if you have the experience, and if we talk about it, it can be. Sometimes I, for example, I thought I watched that. Oh my God, what kind of movie was it? I can't remember the name, but it was. There were some situations that were like very similar to mine, and my God, it was the Handmaid's Tale. The actress, it was the same. Oh my God, the Invisible Man. It was the Invisible Man.
Oh, okay, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and this I was like watching half an hour, and then I had to stop because it was really like triggering. The content was so triggering. I was like, no, can't continue. So this was.
No, so you think it would have been better if they put that at the beginning somewhere?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There were some things.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one scene where she imagined she has seen him, and then she was like on her toes all the time. So that was like I said, that that's kind of triggering. That's why I think it's important to point this out in case someone has the same experience or had the same experience. So if we talk about it, I think it's better to put that that kind of disclaimer in front, that we're talking about abuse. Yeah. Yeah, so in my case, that relationship was like altogether 15 years. And in the first time, there was no kind of sign that there was some kind of narcissism going on. So it was very well hidden. There are masters in disguise, so to speak. And it took a while until this came forward. This was when our first child was born. Then this kind of behavior came forward because I was dependent on him. And this kind of has triggered that behavior, basically. I don't want to go too further into details. So.
Oh, yeah, just say what you're comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and it got worse, and it got better again. It's just like that, that love bombing again, when you keep, not threaten, but when you tell about it, about the situation, and you are coming forward with everything basically, and then they say that, yeah, everything will get better, they will get better, and it gets better, and then it gets worse again. So it's always that kind of, yeah, that the typical narcissistic circle basically. And then it got worse after the second child, and it got worse, and it got worse, and it got so worse that I tried to talk him into therapy, family therapy, and first he agreed, but then he stepped away from it, and then I decided I will go alone because I felt like, yeah, I need to do something. And around that time, it was where I felt like this is I think this was basically the first movement into awakening, where I realized that this is not my place. This is not the person I'm supposed to be with. And this was not only like the realization. This was not only the realization that he's obviously not the dude I'm supposed to be with, but that was like, yeah, the more, there is more behind it. It's like the bigger picture or something like this. And this has kind of triggered something. And I do remember very well. This was actually, I think it was 16th of January 2016. It was either the yeah, it was January 2016 when I was really like sitting there, and I felt like it was the soul kind of crying out. It was really like the soul was there was this kind of, I can't really like describe what it was. It was just like the kind of, I wanted to burst. I can't really describe it, but there was this kind of feeling inside of me that I need to do something. And it was the soul was calling for, it was some kind of liberation or whatever you want to call it. It was since there was this kind of suppression going on due to the abuse and everything. It was like the soul wanted to, I cannot really describe it, but it was like it wanted to explode out of me. And I had the feeling that I need to do something. This was when I seek the
you knew you had to escape.
Exactly.
It? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this was
like that, but I kind of read that as also like a survival instinct kicking in as well as something spiritual. Yeah, it's like, it's now, like now or I'm gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. It was and this was extremely intense. And I do remember back then, I had my bass guitar. I'm playing bass guitar. I play horrible, but I play sometimes. But I had my bass guitar borrowed to a friend of mine. And I think this was like 2 or 3 days later after this has happened. And I was really like, it was really like my soul was crying out for help. And it was like a kind of movement inside of me where I knew that I had to do something. It was just like that survival instinct kicked in, and I need to do something. That was just like and the friend, she brought my guitar back, my bass guitar back, and she brought me some books. And there was also the Secret, the book The Secret. There were spiritual books, and I was starting to read, and then I got some kind of a, ooh, I started to understand. Yeah. This was kind of the first connection with spirituality that I had. This was January, like 2016. This was the understanding that there is something more going on, and that this kind of connection that I had with my karmic, that this is not where I'm supposed to end. It's hard to describe, but there was this kind of understanding that I had to move away from this and as far as possible and as quick as possible, basically as fast as possible. So yeah, I tried to find the way out of it, and it took a while because I had the horses with me, and I had to find a home for the horses first before I could leave, because I couldn't take them with me. And yeah, and I sought the therapy, and with the help of the therapist, I gained that inner strength to leave. And it was very interesting because I got the advice to seek, for example, a flat in secret. So I had to apply for flats, right, and in complete secrecy. And I started to gather, for example, interior beds and everything, you know. And I had, this is just so crazy because I had separate room for my wardrobe, and I have gathered all the interior there. And I was scared that he would go there. You know? Usually he had no business there, but I was so afraid because there was really like stapled all the chairs and everything that I had gathered for that new flat there, and I was kind of scared that he would see this, so he kind of gets suspicious or something. So I was like sweating blood for like half a year. Like that was yeah, quite interesting. And it took from January until October until I found a flat. But then it was what was very interesting was that it went all very quickly. Like I went to see that flat in September, and I got that contract, the rent contract, with my landlord 2 weeks later. What was very interesting was that my landlord, and I had no idea about this, but my landlord was somebody who has worked with my ex together. So I got scared that he would like that. So
but hell.
That was just like, I got so, when he said that, oh yes, hold on a sec, we met like 5 years ago sometime, and I was like, bloody hell. I got so scared, but he has never told my ex that I came to see the flat or something, so he was completely silent. I was very grateful. Because I was real like, oh my god. And then he said that, yeah, you got the flat, and I got the flat because I, you know, the connection with my ex. So this was kind of like
interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
Exactly. I was like, I said that's completely crazy. Yeah, and this was actually the only flat that I got, so I didn't have a lot of choices.
Because usually a single mum is usually bottom of the candidates, aren't they? So
especially when you are a foreigner.
Yeah. Okay.
Foreigner. This was actually, like I said, it was like the whole process took like half a year, and every time when they check the, you know, the personal status and everything, and they see that you have a foreign name, and they immediately like, no. Especially when you're like single mom, then they are always like a little bit like suspicious. Yeah, so that whole process took like until September. And what was very interesting was that the universe was literally like forcing me to take that action. Like I said, I signed the paper in September, and then I got the call that my horses could be picked up from Finland and be brought back to Germany to the shelter. And this had to be done within 3 days. And I had to make the decision: do I leave now? Do I let my horses go? This was completely crazy. I felt like I had to do it, and then I was just like saying yes, I have to do it. But I had so many difficulties on the way there. It's just incredible because, for example, I had 3 days for the horses to go. So they would pick them up within 3 days. And I had to, you know, there are restrictions when it comes to animal travel within the European Union. You have to let a vet check them, that they needed to write some kind of a form that the horse is healthy. Then they had to check with the transporter the route where they're going. It all needs to be like written up in the report of the vet. They are very strict when they when they enter, for example, a country. Then they are checking if they have been following the route and everything. So they are very, very strict when it comes to that. And that that report is allowed to be 24 hours old. So I needed to get the vet as fast as possible to the horses and to get them checked and everything. And the problem was that there was only the community vet who is allowed to do it. It can't be done by any vet. It had to be the community vet, and the community vet was on holiday.
Oh no!
So this was completely chaos. So I had to I had 3 days to arrange another community vet and to get them to our place and to get everything like checked and yeah. So it was a complete chaos. So when the horses were gone, I was just like, yeah. And then I had to tell
But
my
that was like a huge sacrifice for you, wasn't it? Like that was like a huge deal, having to let go of those horses.
This was I had Madani for 10 years. Madani was like a childhood dream, I would say. I met her, Madani's ancestor, when I was like 6 years old. And I was just, that horse, I was like, oh my God, this horse is it. And when I saw Madani back then, Madani was like 3 years old when I got her. And I saw her and she was the complete mirror of her great grandfather that I saw back then. And I was just like, that's her. And there were a lot of circumstances how I got her, but in the end I got her, and she moved to Finland. Yeah, so she has, and since everything was going on with my ex-partner and such, she was my some kind of anchor, I would say. She has dried that mane that mane has dried a lot of hair, a lot of tears, of tears. Yeah. And yeah, and she was some kind of she was the thing that brought some kind of stability to my life when I felt like I was spiraling or whatever, when I didn't feel very well and such. So she was it was this was the most difficult decision in my life, to let them go. Yeah. But there was no, that's just like, I set them up on sale like 1 year before because I realized that where this was going. And I had people coming, wanted to check them. And I think I blocked the possible sale or something energetically, because every time I had 2 people who wanted them, and they canceled the contract the day they were supposed to pick them up, both. So this was kind of, I think, some kind of a internal
that's
blockage.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very strange.
I think so. Now, in the hindsight, I think it was a blockage. And I think this was why the universe was kind of like kicking my ass because in the end, I only had the choice to, like, the 3 days to send them back to Germany, for example, to a shelter, or I had the chance to put them down. So it was basically, it was a decision over life and death, so to speak. So yeah, it was basically the universe, I think, really like, now you have to. And I said, okay, let's send them back. Was very expensive. Was very expensive, but I decided they are supposed to stay alive and that they are supposed to
definitely
find a good place. And what is also interesting was that I haven't heard anything for 4 years. I had no idea where they went after they arrived in the shelter in Germany. And as naturally, I was thinking all the time of them the last 4 years. And last year, and this was also very interesting, the timing, last year during Lionsgate, I actually think it was on August 11th, it was on Lionsgate, I got an email from the new owner from Madani. And I just remember that message. Are you Madani's former owner? And I was just like, what? So it's like she kind of returned back in one sense. So yeah, and this is why I also think that, for example, karmic connections or also soulmate connections in that sense, they can be animals too, especially soulmate connections, because I do think that there's a reason why she is returning. And this is, I was just like, oh my God, I was crying when when the owner, she has asked me if we can talk on the phone. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's such a good idea, but I was glad that I did it. Because we were talking like 2.5 hours on the phone when we were talking, and it was just fantastic. And she's an absolute fantastic person. And Madani has a very, very nice place. I'm so happy. So happy for it. So she's very, very taken care of.
Yeah.
And I'm invited the next time when I'm going to Germany, I'm invited to see her. So that's I'm very happy about that. That is really, 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 really awesome. Yeah, but now Madani got she has distracted me.
That's
so
all right.
that I lost the track on what I was talking about. Yeah. Oh, I need to find my red line again.
It was back to the it was the sale of the horses. Like once you sold them, then what was the next step after that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tried to sell them, but yeah, it happens that they just like fell out the day they were supposed to pick them up. So yeah, this was basically the universe kind of forcing me to take the action in the end, to really like make the decision to go with the flow and just say yes, to just like really follow the gut instincts and really say yes to that. Even though it was very painful, the decision and everything, but it was needed. It was very, very needed. Yeah. And I think all those kind of experiences, they are like bit by bit triggering the awakening process, I think. And this is how I awakened, and how I awakened also to being a twin flame, to finding that there is a certain person that is supposed that is like me. Let's put it like this. That is exactly the same kind of person that I am, the same kind of soul that I am, and yeah, this is how I got into that awakening process. Basically, I do hope I didn't get like from one part to another, but I didn't want it to go too far into its that is some kind of a total topic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Down.
So it does seem like with twin flames, it is kind of I don't know, what do you call it? Like the term like baptism of fire is like coming to mind. It's like we have to like, is it like burn off all the karmic energies first, like go through all that process before we kind of come out the other end and move towards not unconditional love as such, but unconditional connections, perhaps is more the term. It's just I'm just gonna, I think I need to plug in the phone. That's what I'm doing to charge. Excuse me 1 second. Just paranoid. It's just gonna like run out while I'm halfway through something. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you kind of covered karmic relationships and awakening, and yeah, I mean, you didn't go too much into the kind of narcissistic abuse side, but you do consider your, are you like, you do consider your ex to be a narcissist? Like that's what he is. And that's something you had to face. Yeah, I mean, I don't think all karmic partners are narcissists, but I think most of them probably are. And I think most people, when you say that, will understand what you're talking about to some degree. Yeah, and you don't have to be a twin flame to go through that either. But I think especially twin flames will relate to that kind of experience. I don't know, unless you're extremely lucky, I'm not sure. Unless it's just not part of your path. But just, yeah, I'm just not sure exactly where to get into with that. I mean, in regards to my previous relationships, that I would call, I would now understand to be karmic. They were like, there was three relationships, kind of short term, around 3 years, say 3 years each. One was a bit shorter, but yeah, they were all what I now understand to be narcissists. And the relationships were it was emotional and psychologically abusive. Even I would even say sexual to a degree as well, because they used that as some kind of weapon. As you know, it was never it was never about kind of intimacy or kind of anything like that. It was always part of the agenda. And it's just, yeah, I'm not even sure what I want to say about it. It's interesting. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's interesting that it's just seems to be such a common experience for twin flames, and and then another reason why it's so interesting is that there seems to be want to go back to more kind of a general like the general twin flame community. There seems to be this huge confusion between the two for some reason, between twin flames and the karmic relationships, and I'm not quite sure what that is, but I keep kind of coming across it more and more, and people are talking about a twin flame experience, or or someone they believe is their twin, and then kind of describe the connection, what they're experiencing, the sinks and signs. And it seems to me as though they're describing more of a karmic relationship. Well, or to use another word, like a kind of more lower energy or toxic connection, rather than, but I think the word karmic, I think people understand that. I just don't want to limit it too much, but at the same time, maybe it's better just to use the one phrase. And I'm a little bit I mean, I can kind of speak for myself, but I'm a little bit like, well, don't you people see it? And it's like, well, it's easy for me to say that, but I don't understand the trap of this, and why people believe that a karmic relationship could be a twin flame. I mean, because my karmic relationships in regards to like romantic sexual partners were a long time ago. The last one was over 10 years ago, and I have come across a lot of other karmic situations. Like after that, I tended to attract very narcissistic friends, and all sorts of situations that I just couldn't break out of the cycle. But I don't know. I think because I had that huge gap. I don't know if that's because I can kind of see the difference. I'm not sure if that kind of makes any sense, and I just don't know how to like, this is something I want to try and fight and kind of bring awareness to, but I'm not quite sure kind of how to go about it. Yes, I'm not sure if you have anything to say about that.
Yeah, it's but I also know that abuse, for example, can also happen at the workplace. It also can be family.
That's true.
Yeah, or just like workplace, work situations. This can also be like, it doesn't only need to be like, for example, partners, so it can be like other directions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've had it from all directions, I think. But in other ways, it's sometimes not so obvious, I think. There's I think when you're in a kind of kind of, well, maybe that's just me who kind of thinks it's obvious again, in a kind of a relationship situation. But but yeah, I kind of, maybe I do want to talk about that. I've got something like on the tip of my tongue, and it's just not quite getting there. I mean, the confusion between, if we go back to the confusion between karmic, toxic partnerships, and more connections, and twin flame, is it to do with the confusion, the narcissistic confusion and manipulation, to kind of the trickery? Is it something to do with that they can trick you into believing that it's perhaps a spiritual connection?
Yes.
Yeah, if I just reflect on perhaps my own experiences, and I didn't feel in my karmic relationships, I didn't really feel there was a spiritual connection there. That's something that kind of bypassed that. There was a hint of I did think that perhaps these guys might have been soulmates. And I do feel more of a link to my soulmate, to my soulmate experience with these guys than to my twin flame, if that makes sense. There are some kind of similarities there, so I don't know whether I mean, that they were very clever in their manipulation, but I don't feel that they had enough of a spiritual side to be able to do that kind of level trickery and deception, like maybe even tuning into one of my other guys, in being like a false twin or something. Like, I think yeah, I think false twins can be a thing. They were kind of like a false soulmate, if that makes sense. But I don't think they really understood what that meant. It's strange, yeah, being such a spiritual person, that I also would accept someone who wasn't spiritual at all. I think that's quite interesting. But what I did experience, and the closest that I can kind of say is kind of spiritual, on the kind of spiritual psychic level, is when I met them. Okay, this is what I was trying to get to. Just took a while to jog the memory. Was when I met them, there was instant recognition. I just knew them. They seemed familiar, and I knew that we were going to be together. But not in the kind of romantic kind of waves hitting the rocks kind of seeing the stars around the person, like in the movies kind of way. It was feeling as though I didn't have a choice, that this is fate and you have to go along with this. And in a way I trusted that, and I overrid all kind of reasons, thought, emotions. I just have to go along with this. I mean, not that I was like kicking and screaming, I don't want to, like it wasn't that. It was just that this is what you need to do. And it's not as though I didn't didn't have feelings for them. You know, I definitely fell in love with them all. It's definitely in love. There was, you know, it was all genuine from my side. And for me, that is what I understand to be a karmic kind of contract, or if that's what you want to call it, especially that feeling that it's out of your control, and that it's fate. I mean, I was a little bit I mean, yeah, even like in my early 20s, I was a little bit of a spiritual disposition. I was getting into psychic development, things like that. I didn't have a huge understanding, but I did have a little bit. But I just wonder if it's someone now or in the years who has quite a strong spiritual and psychic development, who would meet a karmic and then feel that is like a twin flame connection, because that's how you feel when you meet your twin, because it is similar, but it's just on different vibrational levels, if that makes some sense. And with my ex-partners, it's or with any karmic, it's the recognition is interesting. Like you do recognize that their soul, you are connected, because there is some contract. And I mean, that could be because you decided before you came down that you're going to share this experience, you know, for both of you. I mean, it can be for both of you. It doesn't have to be just for one. To learn and to grow, and can be recognition from a past life, I think. The soul recognition, and the recognition can also be from if you're someone who's if they are a narcissist, if the karmic is a narcissist, and if you're used to that type of person, like if you've used to being around those type of people, like I grew up like that, as that being something normal and familiar, then I think that sense of familiarity will be there as well. And the ability for quite a clever narcissist to manipulate you into believing that they're everything that you're looking for and everything that you want. Some are clever enough to read you and then will mirror you to create the trap for you, and that is interesting, because that's something associated with twin flames being your mirror. But again, it's not on the conscious a level to lay a trap. It's just what happens naturally. So I'm understanding more and more the importance of the karmic on the twin flame journey. Understanding more and more. I mean, I just understood a whole lot more then as I was working through what was going through my brain. And it's it's not about, and it's not about giving it a lot of power. It's not about spending all your time kind of worrying about it or being in fear. It's like, but it's the more understanding you have of it, the better, I think, and how to differentiate. Is it karmic? Is it twin flame? I'm not sure about kind of soulmate connections, how that fits in. I don't think a soulmate can necessarily trick you into thinking they're a twin flame. It's not in the same way. It's not kind of about trickery. I think you can believe a soulmate is a twin flame, but it's not. It won't cause you any kind of harm. It will help you, actually. It's like without. I just don't want to be too confusing. Am I confusing? Or am I making sense by throwing these things out there? In regards to how many different types of connections there are, I don't know. People like to come up with new terms all the time for different types of connection. I like to keep it to 3. I think 3 is easy. There's the karmic, the kind of toxic, codependent relationship. Then there is a soulmate, which is a high vibrational. It's 2 individuals coming together. Can be to fit into one. That's not. Nothing wrong with that. If it's a partnership, if it's a romantic partnership, often I think most people can. I think that's soulmate is probably the most common high vibrational. I think most people can have a soulmate or do have a soulmate, but that is two kind of. It's similar. It's very, very similar souls searching like for each other, searching for that connection and that frequency and that ultimate relationship. And then there is the twin flame, which is the one soul searching to kind of come into union, which I think is the rarest soul connection. And I don't think there's anything kind of harmful about a soulmate connection, not really. If you have this beautiful high vibrational frequency, all that going on with a soulmate, you believe it's a twin flame connection, and technically it's not, or whatever. Only you can really know that. I don't think that's kind of harmful in any way. That's, you just carry on. If you're continually going about your work, you're supporting each other in your great work, evolving, ascending, doing what you need to do, then that's beautiful. But it's just if you're in a karmic relationship and you believe it to be a twin flame, I think that can be damaging. I think if you're not sure, it's like, well, what is it? If you're in a karmic, there is no growth. I think that's the key thing, that there's no growth, or very little anyway, or it'll just be one partner trying to do it on their own with no and they're not seeing the other one kind of reflecting the growth. In soulmate relationships, you can grow together, you can reflect each other and everything. And two soulmates can stay together, live happily ever after. The relationship can end when they've reached the end of the road, and they should have an understanding, as in regards to, we've done everything we can. Not saying it's not going to be kind of painful or anything, but just to keep it very simple. With the karmic, it's like most likely the narcissistic toxic partner will not understand why you're leaving, yeah, the twin flame, hopefully hopefully they don't split, because after all the hard work you put into and all the waiting, once that's it, that's it. But do I want to go into the I don't know, all the little kind of signs and syncs, telepathy, all the kind of psychic phenomena connected to soulmates and twins. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. But like, have you had any, like, with your karmic partner or any other karmic connections, have you had things like signs and syncs and kind of phenomena going on where it could have been like, oh, that could be something spiritual?
No.
No,
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. The only thing was,
it's interesting then.
Yeah, but the only thing that and I think that some comes in due to past lives.
Yeah.
I think one of those, because, for example, he is extremely how can I put it? He is very strong. He's a very strong believer in church, or not exactly church, but he is a very strong believer. Let's put it like this. I don't want to go into details, but I do think that there were times, for example, because I started to do, I got myself some tarot cards and such, and he didn't like it. And I do think that this is a connection to a past life, because I do believe that he most likely thinks I'm a witch or something like this. So some kind of past life thing going. And I myself, I did some past life meditations on that, and from my understanding, this is related to a past life where I was a witch. Just like he is believing this still in this life, and he was the one who was judging me to death, basically. And this was also one of the things that that is a part of that karmic. I was supposed, in this lifetime, I was supposed to get alive out of this connection. So this is the only, like, it is exactly like a psychic thing going, but it's connected to a past life. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Oh, there's no kind of like signs or something to that past life connection. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean that can be to do with, perhaps is to do with how developed, well, either party could be on their kind of spiritual path as to what they may be open to. Like, if you're a psychic person, quite open anyway, then I think you're gonna perceive things in a certain way anyway, and you're gonna read, or you tune into people. I just wonder if it's that. It's like, kind of like, the more perhaps developed you are. Okay, well, yeah, I just remembered that, like, oh,
Oh no, I think now you're back.
okay, well, you were frozen for me. But I was just gonna, yeah, I was just gonna say that I remembered in yeah one of my relationships, the I call it like the middle one, was where I also had the feeling it just suddenly came to me that I had to get out, and I thought I was gonna die if I stayed. It was that kind of that serious. I don't know whether if something I thought that something was actually going to happen to me physically, or just like, yeah, my soul was going to die. And that yeah, that was quite I wouldn't say it was quite an awakening, but I guess there was something in that I was open to receive that message, or if it came from within me, I was open to pay attention to it and hear that. But it was about survival. But I mean, deep down, I knew that was one relationship where early on, I knew that I should have never got into it. It never should have lasted that long. We never should have moved in together. And I didn't pay attention to those warnings early on. Like, there were things right from the beginning. But I felt, I mean, I wasn't in a good place, like mentally or emotionally. I just felt like I didn't have any fight in me. So when someone came along and yeah, they were just able to manipulate straight away, and I just believed everything they said as well. I just followed them because for some reason I thought they knew what was best. You know, these kind of weird things. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's also easy looking back in hindsight. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't 100% think the way I thought now, but there were big red flags, and even my own instincts saying, "Are you sure this is what you want?" But there was that overriding feeling that this is what I needed to do, and that's where it gets kind of confusing.
Yeah.
But if I didn't do that and go through that, like, I don't know what I would have done. I think kind of would have been almost worse in a way. I would have been, because in a way these relationships can kind of, what's the word? Can kind of anchor you in a certain way. I guess it can be, or perhaps it's seen as more kind of bondage. But perhaps you need to kind of be in one place for one amount of time, if that makes sense. Because I was kind of flying around too much, and I kind of needed to I don't know, to try and kind of, like, I was trying to kind of settle my mind and focus on yeah, well, like, literally settling down. Like, I thought we were going to get married, and thought, okay, I've got somewhere to live now and a job, and I'll start like focusing on my creative projects, and maybe this is where I can settle down and live, and to kind of ground me in some weird way. And I just think if I wasn't, even though that was quite bad, I just think I could have been out there and someone even worse could have taken advantage of me, if that makes sense. So in a weird way, yeah, it's a very weird kind of thing. Yeah, I just don't know what else I would have done I think in any of the relationships. And that one's interesting because the one before that, the guy left me. I didn't leave, and I should have left after like a few months of that relationship, but I would have just stayed. I just never would have. I would have just stayed in that forever, probably. But then, when this one came along, I had the strength to go, and yeah, maybe it did set a precedent. But the interesting thing was that after I left, I fell straight into another toxic relationship. But that one only lasted 6 months, and I got out of that. So I was learning quicker and quicker. I think. I hope I've learned. Yeah, and after that last one, that was when I think I even like spoke to the universe, and I just said like, I would rather be on my own than with these abusive guys. Like, I just said, please do not send me any more of these. And it didn't happen. So so I like to think that yeah. And then the next one that was sent to me was Marie Twin, or I'll refer to it as like a soulmate connection, but and that connection is what started me off really on the on the twin flame path. I would say, like, consciously on the twin flame path. Like, I did always feel that there was someone special out there for me, you know, that would be a soul connection, like a soulmate. You know, I was familiar with the word soulmate and that term, and I had an understanding of what that meant. But when I connected with my soulmates, it didn't feel like a soulmate. I went, this is not a soulmate. This is something more powerful than that. And that's what led me on to type into YouTube, what is more powerful than a soulmate? I think I literally like typed in something like that. And that's when the twin flame, the term twin flame came up. So that was a few years after that, and it was at that moment that I felt was the major spiritual awakening as well for me. So
interesting. This is so interesting how different those paths each is. It's so interesting. I think. Yeah. That's.
And I think there are a few people like, hello, and does anyone have any questions? Feel free. If not, it's fine. I'm always like so worried. It's like, have I made any sense? Or people just sitting there going, what the F is she talking about?
Yeah.
But anyway, I can only explain it the way I can explain it. So, and it's all unscripted. It's just free flowing, which is what I love. So, just whatever needs to come out.
Yeah. Sometimes it sounds so. From our understanding, it is. So easy in our own heads to understand the things, but sometimes it's so difficult to explain it in words. I'm struggling with.
And you try and keep it, like I try and keep it as simple as possible, like simple language, so it's not not too difficult for people to grasp it.
Just wondering if there's something that I came up with. Yeah, but I do think that those karmic situations are there to bring us back to ourselves. Case is I absolutely had no boundaries, and this was something that I had to learn, like to really like setting up, really like stick with them. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. Yeah, but this, the self-worth, the self-love, and just like of the boundaries to keep that place of self-worth and self-love in place. So the boundaries are needed. And it's so difficult to hold them. So yeah, it is something, a constant work. It's like a work in progress. Yeah. It's really a constant test.
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely didn't care about myself at all, really. It's like it was just all about them, caring about them, and their needs and all of that. And there was no, I thought very little of myself, or thought that I was kind of worth anything. So it wasn't, it's don't know what I was going to say there. It's interesting because throughout these relationships, when I wasn't, there wasn't the understanding of what a narcissist is, or psychological abuse, or that back then. But I did know, something wasn't right. It's like, you don't kind of treat people like that for no reason. But they all accused me of abusing them, which is extremely interesting. And I got to a point where I believed it. And that is, that really, that really messes up not just your boundaries, but I'm not quite sure what the word is. It just messes you up then. I can't think of the right word. That is just really, but to me that says, if they were projecting, because narcissists love to accuse you of doing what they're doing, that tells me that they knew that they would that they were deliberately abusing me. That's if they, because I didn't really even think of it as abuse as such, like, because I thought, you think abuse is something a lot harsher, again, because there wasn't necessarily the physical side, and thinking of things like that are just really, but that does break down your boundaries in a way that you don't feel that you can say no, that you can stand up to somebody and say, hang on a minute, what I think you're doing isn't right, because any criticism or not giving them what they want was called abuse. It's like if you're withholding something from them. That's what I was trying to say. is constituted as abusing them. So if you think, oh, I'm not giving them what they want when they want, they're telling me that's hurting them, so I don't want to hurt them, you know. So it's yeah, and then it's like having to completely rebuild yourself emotionally and psychologically, because you just completely turned inside out. Everything is just the opposite. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Like everything is the opposite of the way it should be. So it's like you're having to figure out figure out your again, I know the words on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think what it is. Well, yeah, you're kind of, yeah, even your like moral code, even your morals are like, everything's trashed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your moral code, your beliefs, what's actually your belief, what is actually, you know, all these sorts of things. Just your, rebuilding it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, knocking it all down to rebuild. But through that process, a lot of things you go, actually, I don't want that anymore, and I'm going to chuck that away. I'm not going to include that. So I think that's one positive side to it, because perhaps you kind of wouldn't realize that that's something that's actually not necessary anymore, or that's not your beliefs anymore, that they've changed, or that's not yours anyway. You were carrying it for someone else. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, no one wants to talk. I think there's only one watching now. I don't know who it is.
I have no idea.
Oh.
I have no idea. It's so late. It's so late. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no one is
How
having...
are you feeling? Do you feel we need to go a bit more, or we could end this one now?
I'm just thinking. I think I went through everything that I wanted to bring forward. Yes, one thing I have to say. If you are in a karmic situation, for those who will be watching this later, if you're in a karmic situation and if you go through abuse and such, listen to your intuition. Your intuition will, and your guides, they will always tell you that you have to leave. Do not prolong it. If you are that you need to leave right now, leave right now. Let go of what is holding you back. If you are holding you back, leaving the situation, you will be to go worse. The universe will be pushing you to make decisions that are really really very hard, and you will wish you would have left when you had the chance. This is what I have to say. And if you're scared situation, it is leave, and the start is not easy, especially when you have been through abuse. Horrible. It is not easy. It is horrible, And I do recommend getting professional help if you feel like you need it. Don't hesitate, get professional help. And it is not easy rebuilding a new life from scratch. It is difficult, but just an example that it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. That was what I wanted to say. Even though it sounds horrific, and if you feel like, if you wonder the what if, and what if, how can I? It is, in my case, for example, there have always been the situations coming up where I found help in one way or another to keep me going. Even though I felt like everything will be falling apart, I do remember that I had my all kind of machines broken down, my car broke down, but somehow I always managed. So, and at the moment I'm in a similar situation with my car especially, but somehow I managed. We will be taken care of if we make decisions at the right time. Yeah, this was what I wanted to say.
That's it. Yeah, it just there always seems for some reason just to be that huge sacrifice you need to make. I don't know why there always seems to be that it's never like, yeah, never kind of seems like that easy, but but yeah, you just like, I think once you make the decision, then usually things become easy. It's like, but it's about you making that decision and nobody else. And then things will come in to support you. You'll be surprised. Yeah, the things that will come in. That doesn't mean that everyone will. Not everyone around you will support you either. You just have to be prepared for that. But other things, it'll come in from wherever it needs to come in from. Yeah. So. Okay, so not any questions today. That's fine. But yeah, this video is up for people to watch, and we'll be posting in various places. If anyone can think of something that they would like us to discuss, that would be a good idea. If there's anything, we can try and discuss it. So if you watch this till the end, well done. And thank you. And yeah, if you think of anything that you want us to talk about more, or a completely different topic, preferably twin flame related, but we can expand on that. Or yeah, anything we talked about today. It does feel like, yeah, there's just so much more. There's just so much more we can talk about, but it's good not to try and shove it all into one thing, and just take it a bit easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting as always. A pleasure. Pleasure as always to talk with you. And yes, I feel we ended it at the right place. So thank you very much for having me on your channel.
Thank you for having those discussions and those dialogues. I think this is very important.
Yeah, good. Yes, I definitely feel that way as well.
Okay, so yeah,
so
let's
you're cutting out a little bit now.
The next time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
It's late here. Okay, so yeah.
All right.
See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Have a nice. Bye.
Bye.